Domestic violence can take a lot of different approaches to what exactly it looks like. But if you're getting in fights and your spouse is in your face and you can feel the spit coming off and hitting you in the face, that's actually an assault. So that qualifies. If you're trying to get away and they chase you into a closet and won't let you leave, that's domestic violence. If they're financially controlling you and they watch what you spend money on, maybe you get a very minimal allowance, maybe you're berated anytime you spend a single dollar, that is financial control. Maybe they come after your children. Maybe they come after your animals. Maybe they threaten the safety of both of those in order to manipulate and control you. That is domestic violence. So there's a lot of behavior that can qualify as a domestic violence situation. Obviously, physical abuse, that's the easy one to tell. But it's the mental and the manipulation that becomes much harder. We've represented clients who will call us and talk to us about their situation, and it can take a while for them to realize that the situation that they were in, their relationship, actually qualifies as a domestic violence situation because of the toxicity. So the typical cycle of abuse starts with, obviously it doesn't start with abuse. Usually it starts with this person wipes you off your feet. They have come out of nowhere. They tell you how amazing you are. They build up your trust in them, your faith in them. You see a future with them. And then something happens. Usually it's some sort of smaller aspect of control and manipulation. Maybe it's a threat, maybe it's an isolation, but whatever it is, it's an act that begins to control you. And then what happens is the second that you say, this doesn't feel right, this doesn't feel like a healthy relationship anymore, all of a sudden they turn it and they say, oh, no, we'll fix it. We'll make sure that never happens again. They love bomb you. They tell you how great you are, how much they love you, how appreciative they are of you. And you feel like, okay, maybe that was just a one-off, but then it happens again. And a lot of times at the beginning, there's a lot of time in between each episode. It only feels like maybe it was just the situation. Maybe it's not who they are. Maybe it was just because they drank too much or you said something you shouldn't have. But then as time goes on, that cycle continues and the events get stronger, get harsher, become closer together. Then it can turn physical. Maybe one time they hit you by accident and they say, oh, I don't know, you were in my way and I was throwing my arm. All of that is what starts to lead people into that cycle of abuse. And once you're in that, it can be very, very difficult to get out. If one thing happens, I always say, if it happens once, it can happen again. If it happens twice, it will happen again. Please keep yourself safe. It's really hard to recognize abuse when it's first happening because a lot of times we've been in a situation where we believe in the future that we have with this person. We can see it on the wall. The writing is there. We're going to have this amazing and great life together. And then something happens and it's easy to brush under the rug. It is so important to recognize when abuse is happening because once you get in that cycle, especially if you have children, it's very easy to say, it won't happen again. And you end up back in that cycle of abuse. And guess what? You are setting that as an example to your children of behavior that is acceptable. So by not recognizing it, you're actually setting your children up to experience it or actually be the perpetrator of abuse later on in their future. It's so important to recognize it because one, it will save you a lot of heartache when you do recognize it early and are able to get out. And two, you'll make sure that your children are truly safe moving forward. If you're in a situation where you're in a relationship that has become abusive, whether that's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, in Massachusetts, there's ways to be able to get protective orders. One is called a restraining order or 209A order. And that is against a family member or somebody you are in a relationship with that basically the court will tell them they have to stay away from you. And there's a lot of things that can go into that, but the idea is it helps protect your safety. Another is a harassment protection order. If you have somebody who is constantly badgering you, sending you texts that are extremely harassing, threatening your animals' lives if you don't act in a certain way, that might qualify you for a harassment protection order. If you're coming out of a divorce situation and maybe you don't want to go the restraining order route, well, what we have for you is called a vacate order. And that's something that you can only get through family court, and you can only get if there's a divorce pending. It's an order that makes your spouse leave the marital home and helps protect you and keep you safe within your home. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use the court to ensure that you're maintaining you and your children's safety. If you find yourself in a situation that you think maybe this is a situation where I'm being abused, give us a call. We can walk you through and ask you questions to make sure that what you have rises to the level that would allow you to obtain a restraining order or a protective order. Obviously, we don't want to use it as a strategy, but when you need protection, that's what it's there for. And those are the people that we fight for.